All set? Okay. Alrighty. Well, welcome to XTERN Bootcamp. So I'm just going to give you guys some tips and expectations to get the most out of the next 3 weeks. I went through a bootcamp myself last year, and so it was just a great opportunity to learn a lot in maybe a short amount of time. But I think some of the tips we put together will be a good way to get through the next 3 weeks and make it a successful bootcamp. So just a little bit about me. I'm originally from Youngstown, Ohio, which is northeastern Ohio. Moved to Bloomington about 7 years ago, and that's where I currently live. I'm staying up here with my boyfriend's grandma for this boot camp, so wish me luck. No, it's been fine. Anyways, so went through a boot camp. Well, first I was in economic development for the last 7 years, and decided to change my career after working closely with a lot of tech companies in Bloomington. I said, you know, this is the kind of work that I'm really excited about and interested in doing, solving problems every day. And so I decided to quit that job and go into a 4-month boot camp through a program called General Assembly and learn web development. So I learned the full stack web development over the last 4 months. And then once I got out, was hired with Fretless. And so that's the company that we work for, by the way. Actually, Davey owns. It is called Fretless. It's a software consultancy. It's based here in Indy, but we work remotely, which is awesome. So we get the best of both worlds. But yeah, we build web and mobile applications for our clients. And so we have a variety of different clients all the time, usually 6 or so month contracts. But we also get to work with TechPoint to deliver this boot camp, and we love doing it every year. We've done it the last 3 years. So
don't forget to tell them how much it changes your life when it's over, okay?
yeah. Davey.
In the middle of the school year next year, just how much farther ahead you are of your classmates. Don't forget to tell them.
Davey, do you want to give an intro?
Sure. Hi, I'm Davey. I am originally from Kokomo, Indiana. Then I lived in Bloomington for quite a while. I like Bloomington a lot, but I just moved here from Bloomington. I miss Bloomington already. But into school, too. Indiana all the way, though, right? Woo, Indiana! This is tech point. We got to promote Indiana. So, yeah. So, yes, I work for Fretless. We're a software consultancy, like she said. You're going to hear my whole life story on the last day. So, practically from cradle to the grave. So, yeah. Enjoy the presentation.
Thank you. Okay, who wants to read the quote on the screen? Yes, Troy?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
To remain valuable in our economy, therefore, you must master the art of quickly learning complicated things. Cal Newport.
Awesome, thank you. So that's a quote from the book Deep Work, which is a book that Davey really recommends. But as a developer, you have to be adaptable and ready to change. Keep an open mind. I mean, that's the whole concept of web development and new technologies. There are new things coming out all the time. And if you are resistant to that or just are kind of stuck in your ways, you're probably going to have a hard time because that's what the profession is. It's learning new things quickly. You don't have to master them quickly, but being open to new concepts, being adaptable, sharing thoughts, talking to other developers about it, that's a really, important part. That's the guts of being a developer. And so I think keep that in mind over the next 3 weeks, but also throughout your professional career. So just a few things, what to expect. So it is a lot of hard work. I think Davey asked if anyone had done web development before, any kind of front-end stuff. But if you haven't, I mean, it's going to be a little overwhelming because it's just a different concept. It's something new. It's a new way of thinking about things. And so you're going to learn a lot. And sometimes it might not feel like you are. It might be like, okay, it's all coming in, but it's going out the other ear. But it's going to be fine. You're retaining the information, whether you know it or not. And the more you practice, the more you talk about it, the more you spend time on your homework, the easier it'll be, the more you'll grasp, and the better you'll be as a web developer.
I think you'll find as we get to the last week, if it feels like I don't really think I've learned anything, when you go back and look at the day one homework, you're going to realize actually we've done.
Totally.
We've come along.
Totally. So here's some tips just to get you through. Who thinks they know this sentence? Exactly, yes. You get out what you put in. So basically what we're saying here is push yourself. Every night we'll have homework, and then there will be bonus credits. Try and push yourself to that next step, that next level. If you complete the homework, you're like, "Hi, that was super easy. Like, I want to go out now." No, try and stay home. Try and get to that extra bonus credit or the super mega bonus credit. And just push yourself, because this is 3 weeks. It's not that long. And the more you do that, the more you push yourself, the more you'll get out of it. And of course, there's so much material. I mean, it could be almost overwhelming. But if there's a concept in class that we talk about that you don't understand, see if there's any like YouTube videos out there on it, or chat with someone on Slack about it, or ask each other to explain the concepts. That's how you really get the most out of this. But first, try and solve the problems yourself. It's like you got to put the reps in, just like any other exercise. So, you don't show up the first day in the weight room and bench press your body weight. Like, you need to practice and put the reps in and go for months and really try and build up to that point, to your goal. So again, like, as much as you can, put those reps in, put that time in, and you'll get a lot out of it. So as you're solving these problems, the first thing you want to do is break it down. So it might seem like a huge concept, and they're like, okay, how do I add this to the DOM and change it when I click this button? And it's like, whoa, that's a lot. I mean, where do I even start? Just break it down. It's like, okay, like, can I access this button? And when I click on it, can I make it do something? And just break it down into digestible chunks. So it's like, okay, I could get this one thing accomplished. Let's build on that. And then if you're still stuck, check the documentation. You will find there's so much information out there on the web. MDN, Mozilla Developer Network, is a great resource. It's an excellent resource for all kinds of syntax information. We use it all the time. Developers, you're going to be your best friend. So break the problem down. Check out the documentation. We just thought this was a really funny tweet, because if you look at the documentation, you still don't get it, just Google it. Just Google the exact problem that you're having or the exact error that you're getting. And you'll be surprised, like Stack Overflow and other messaging boards will have tons of information, and some of it's kind of not useful and some of it is really great. So just Google it then at that point. So try and solve those problems yourself, but don't stay stuck. So if you're just like, okay, I've been doing this for an hour now and I still don't understand what's going on. Everyone else seems to get it. Like, okay, I'll just spend another hour or two. Don't do that. That is not helpful to anyone. Because first of all, if you've done all this, you've done your due diligence. Like, you've tried as hard as you can to get the answer. If you Google it and then another 15 minutes goes by, reach out to one of us or reach out to a friend or a fellow classmate and just say like, hey, take a look at my code. Is there something in here that's just like wonky and there's a reason that it's throwing an error? Or maybe we'll see like, oh, you just don't need that semicolon there. It's like, oh, I just spent 3 hours looking for this thing. So don't stay stuck too long. Go through all these steps, break it down, check the documentation, Google it, try another 15 minutes. But after that, just reach out to us. I mean, that's what we're here for. We want you to learn. We don't want you to feel stuck and helpless and depressed because you're not getting it. So I really want to drill that in because, over the last couple of years, we've seen students that aren't asking questions and aren't speaking up. And then we look at their homework and they haven't made a commit in 4 days. We're like, why? That's such a bummer, because we really are here to answer your questions, and it's ego-free. Like, we don't care. Just ask us. And help each other, too, along those same lines. Like I said, I just went through a boot camp and now I'm teaching one. And it's amazing how much more I learned just by answering questions from students. And I think by helping your fellow classmates, not only do you learn a lot more, but you get used to and you get to practice like talking about code, which when you're up for an interview or you're interviewing for a job, they're going to be like, hey, tell me about a problem you worked on in React. And you're going to have to be able to explain that. So a great way to practice is just by helping your friends that you feel comfortable with already. And learn from our mistakes. So we're going to be coding up here all day long. And I mean, we're going to make mistakes. We're human, even though we look like master programmers. But we are going to make mistakes, and it's really important to watch us troubleshoot them because that's how you learn how to troubleshoot yourself. So as we make mistakes, if we're going too fast, you could say, hey, can you slow down and like tell me, okay, why did you think to go to MDN, or why did you think to do this? That way you could think about the thought process of how we break down an error and get to the solution. And sometimes error messages are really terrible, like this one. Like, what does that mean? And sometimes there will be error messages in your developer console, and it'll just be like unexpected identifier, and you'll have no idea what that means. But they are your friend. And again, like you could just copy and paste that error message into Google, and there will be answers, and people will have had that same error, and they'll maybe talk you through how to get it done. Or so just pay attention to those error messages because they are your friend. And when you reach out to me or Davey and you say, hey, this isn't working, instead it's like, hey, this is the error message. I've tried these things, still not working. It's like, oh, okay. Now I know, like, you've done this, whatever it is. It's just more descriptive and helpful to check those error messages to know how to find the solution.
That means out of paper, by the way. PC a little better. In case you ever have an HP printer, that's a lot.
And of course, don't compare yourself to others. This is a hard one because, we're probably all a little competitive in our own way. But it's just not worth it. And everyone is at such different levels, different schools, different backgrounds. Just don't compare yourself to others. A good thing to do maybe though is to compare yourself to yesterday or the week before. Like Davey said, at the end of this program, you're going to be like, oh my God, I was struggling week 1, but really it was not that hard. Or wow, look how far I've come. Like, look what I could do now in an hour as compared to what took me half a day. So that's one thing you can do, but don't judge or look to the person to your left or right and say, oh, why is he getting it? Or why is she understanding this and I'm not? Maybe just ask them like, hey, why are you understanding this? Like, how did you get here? Or what's the thought process behind that? Because it'll just be helpful for everyone. And I hate that we have to even say this, but don't be a know-it-all. This is a safe space, a classroom where you shouldn't have to feel like, okay, so-and-so is raising his hand again because he thinks he's cool and knows all the answers. Like, we get it. Like, it's fine. Like, if you feel very far ahead and you're really comfortable with the material, find someone that's struggling in class and help them. Like, that's the best thing you could do. And that means more to your fellow classmates than constantly raising your hand and being like, oh, well, I got this done in 20 minutes. Like, we don't care. Totally.
But if you're ever tempted to like ask a question, but it's not really a question, you're actually showing off how much you already know, just save it. You've probably already, most of you only been to 1 year of college, you've probably already been in a class with that person. And it's excruciating. Questions are just to show off to the professor, hey, I already know this stuff. So save it if that's the case. We're all very impressed already. Verification procedure.
Yeah, so we don't need that, but if you do know and if you are finding yourself a little ahead, totally reach out to other students or post on Slack like, hey, I'm done with the homework early. Like, if anyone has any questions or needs help, let me know, because that's awesome. Like, that's what we're here for, and I hope to see that. And of course, have fun. We're here for 3 weeks. These are all new people. I don't think any of you have met yet. Have a good time. Celebrate your wins. It might seem simple, but if you do get that button to do something when you click it, that's awesome. Like, you have never done that before. Celebrate that. That's super exciting. Appreciate your progress. If you get an error message, change your code and get a new one, that's progress. Like, that's awesome. Believe me, you will love that. So appreciate that. Think about all the good things that you're doing instead of all maybe the mistakes that you're making. Make some friends, and have a good time, and let's build some cool stuff. Does anyone have any questions for me or Davey at this point? Awesome. Thank you.